What up? Let me get us leveled and situated here, as always. Do my awkward morning stuff. We tilted? We good? That looks alright. Acceptable enough. Oh, good. Glorious Sunday morning, everyone. That was nice. Before we get going, and I forget, I promised myself I would give a big shout out and thank you to Justin Smith of Palmetto Coast Exotics for sending me some awesome coffee. Good morning, Point Buckster. Justin Smith, thank you for the coffee. He sent me some coffee from his local roasting company out there in South Carolina, but these beans are some fresh New Guinea beans, and I've never tasted coffee like this before. I like full flavor, full body, and typically medium dark or dark roast, and no creamer or anything. I drink it black because I like the flavor. And lighter stuff tends to be lacking in flavor. Well, this I would say is more of a light medium kind of range, but with an unreal amount of flavor. It's light, it has a sweet aftertaste, and I feel like I can taste the peat content in the soil from New Guinea where these beans were grown. Ah, good morning. I'm always flattered when people come on and say, like, I made it. Like, they're excited about it because every time I start this, I look at what number we're on. This is the 13th episode. And I'm still not convinced that I'm all that exciting. But if you guys are tuning in and enjoying it, then cool, man. I appreciate it. So, yeah. Justin, thanks for the coffee. If anybody wants some really cool New Guinea coffee, get in touch with Justin Smith at Palmetto Coast Exotics. And if you do follow through and reach out to him, be sure to send him a couple bucks. He's a good guy. He sent me this stuff out of the goodness of his heart. I ought to return the favor. But if you guys are getting coffee from him, you should totally cool. Good morning. What up, Bergs? I've got a few more shirts going out this week. I got new business cards in. Kind of just redid the back, made them a little flashier, and put like more updated contact information on there. Not that exciting, but I still have t-shirts in all the sizes. Like I said, a few more going out this week. Here they are. Bam! Got a few more designs in the works for maybe next year or something like that. We'll see. We'll see. We will see. Horny Boy. Yeah, most of these animals aren't, well, some of them are hungry, some of the ones that aren't breeding, but, yeah, these boys are pacing, although that boy's in with a girl, so I don't know what's going on, but that female is young, and so is he, so I'm not that, worried about it. Anything with orange, sticky notes on it is like a breeder female's enclosure, and, you know. Each one of these, I just record like the dates when I pair any animals, and a male goes in, and next to the date, if I see some questionable cuddling or courting, I'll put like a question mark on it, so I know that like during that pairing I saw some potential. If I see a lockup, I'll put like a check. So some pairings have been progressing. Some pairings seem to be like maybe kind of wrapping up already. It is still kind of early / middle. Today's blend, dude, okay, so if you're just tuning in, today's blend is actually really unique. For those of you who are watching this and you're going to just like watch it later, I mentioned it right at the beginning, but this coffee is amazing. Justin Smith sent me some stuff out from South Carolina from his local roasting company, and these beans are from New Guinea. So, you know, there's that Papuan carpet tie right there. Maybe a Papuan carpet slithered through the coffee fields out in New Guinea and took a pee or a dump where these beans were growing. And maybe that's why maybe this is what a popping carpet tastes like. Don't read into this. I'm crazy. It's early. Anyway, it's really good. It's really sweet, and it's full flavored. I drink my coffee black, no cream or anything like that. So when I got this and it was lighter than I expected, I didn't anticipate the flavor that came with it. So this is really good. Normally I like dark, kind of strong stuff, but this is actually really nice. It's easy to drink, and then it's got that sweet aftertaste where I feel like that has to be a result of like the elevation, the soil content, the pH and everything out there, plus probably the nice rainwater. It's probably just like perfect climate for such a unique blend. So if any of you are interested in trying some of this New Guinea bean, hit up Justin Smith at Palmetto Coast Exotics. Send him a few bucks. It's not free, obviously, but if you're interested, it's worth it. If you're a coffee snob like me and you like trying different stuff. Sorry. I'm trying to watch that in case there are kiddos on. Ah, that's good. Oh. So, yeah, as I was saying, a lot of the pairings are kind of wrapping up. My big jungle girl here, her and the male have kind of been done. They seemed pretty disinterested in one another last week, and they were locking up like crazy. Seeing good signs from the tiger caramel pairing, so it's always encouraging when he finally pays attention, which doesn't happen often. So what are you gonna do, right? So we've been getting rain, and I try to... Maybe the carpet ate a mammal that ate the fruit that contained the seeds, and then it popped out the bean of it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's all an interconnected web, right? So, beans from my carpet pythons. I don't know how that works. Speaking of New Guinea, I've been very pleased to see that with the rain last week and a few days ago, the popwing carpets have been locking up, and I stopped feeding them both. Let's see, that's the male. Yeah, so I fed them the weekend of Halloween, and that was kind of it, right? So then November they kind of can just digest and sit on the heat. But I started doing some pairings and some then just to get them thinking about it, which was pretty early, of course, so nothing came of that. But as soon as December turned, it always seems to be when it turns, because just the weather system, that maybe the animals instinctually just like kind of really kick into gear then. But yeah, that was when I started seeing interest from the female. The male was certainly interested, and yeah, so then she finally became receptive and was open to his advances, and I've confirmed 2 really solid locks with them. And then not only have I seen good lockups, I've actually seen some posturing behavior from the female. So a lot of the times you'll get lockups between pairs. It doesn't mean that, yeah, the rain was perfect. Just because you get locks doesn't mean, you know, it's set in stone. So many people will get locks and pull their animals and get nothing. I've done that. So, yeah, man, circle of life. So, you know, watching your animals is helpful, and so I've been seeing her sort of rolling a bit, where like we'll say this part up here, good morning Brandon, is her spine. You'll look for, like, imagine like a posture section. So say this is like normal, we'll say that's normal body segment, right? All the belly scales, which are my thumbs, are sitting on the floor. Well, you start seeing a little bit of this, where it's sort of like the edges lift off a little bit, and then you'll see it kind of do this. Not as dramatic, but like this part down here sort of becomes wider, and then they sort of, instead of sitting on the ground like this, will kind of start going like this, and like kind of warming the sides, or in extreme cases they're full back, and you'll see ventral scales up. And the nice thing about keeping records of when you feed, this year I've actually kind of even considered forcing myself to get back onto weighing just the breeder females, because one indication of, you know, follicular growth and egg development and things is if they're gaining weight. You can usually, several months in, see like if you're on top of it before, you can compare weights. So I really wish I would have been more diligent this year, but maybe that's something to look forward to next year, because I used to keep track of weights, and with only a collection of like 20 snakes, it became too much. So that's a long time ago, so that'd be a lot of work. So maybe just the breeder females. But when you see your animal putting on size and getting bigger, but you haven't fed them in almost 2 months, that's a good sign. I could still slug out, or she could still slug out, and nothing could come of it viable. But she's giving me the signs that her body is at least in the early stages of wanting to reproduce, and that's a good sign. They are a smaller species. They are a smaller carpet python, so they can do that. And she's only like 800, 900 grams, which probably doesn't mean anything to any of you. If somebody said that to me, I'd be like, whatever. I don't know what that means. What are they eating? How big are they? How old are they? And I can kind of formulate it from there. But after seeing some photos of them in the wild, man, they are small and thin when they're young. So, but there's also something to be said from like captive stock versus wild stock. Wild stock does survival. Captive stock has never really had to, really gut it out just to make it. And so they kind of got everything good. So it's a little bit different, I guess, as far as cueing them mentally on what to do. I don't know. Things I think about. Oh. Children's python should be good. I don't know if any of y'all saw that post, but that female is thick. She's ready to rock. So hopefully we'll get some eggs there. There's something else I wanted to talk about. Yeah, thanks, Brandon. That's a first for me. I've never bred Antaresia. Yeah, she is huge. What do you guys want to see? Yeah, I haven't pulled a snake out. I don't see. I'm like leaving females alone, and there's a couple males that are. Actually, that's what I wanted to talk about. Thank you for reminding me about pulling something out that triggered it. It's kind of a soapbox moment, so I won't get too crazy with it. Let's see. Who should we pull out? I know. I never play with her. I always think about that when I see her. Hi, sweetheart. Oh, my. So this is Torin. This is my citrus tiger head albino from Eric Burke at EB Morelia. The new Amazons are thriving. They love those perches. Being in tubs is super awesome for humidity. They're doing really well, growing and pooping, doing all that good stuff. So I love them. Somebody else was asking if I can do an update video on them, and I probably should. But here, let me move this. So what I wanted to talk about really quick, and what made me think of it is bringing an animal out, the act of bringing an animal out, right? So we see so many people that talk about, educating and showing off animals, and if any of you have been sort of paying attention to my, what I try and promote as far as the species is that these things are not the ill-tempered, biting, sort of rude pythons that they yeah, dude, Amazons have the goofiest strikes. Trust me, you're gonna laugh. They're like drunk tree pythons. They're hilarious. When you pull an animal out and you're showing it off to somebody, there are certain do's and don'ts, right? In order to make sure that individual has a positive experience, nobody gets bit, and they remember it, and all is well, right? So we all know that. It's all about projecting the animal the right way, making sure it's all good and safe, and you don't use a grumpy animal. You keep the head towards you. You don't let them pet the head, even if it's the most puppy dog animal. All it takes is one bad instance. You could be sued. Believe it. Yeah, it's wild, especially if you're doing like a school presentation and you don't have like the liability insurance or traveling zoo insurance, you could be in a lot of legal trouble, right? But let's take it a step back and let's say you're not doing education, you're putting out videos like this, right? If you have a large audience, you have a duty to your audience and the community that you're a part of to be a contributing member, or at least not a detracting member, not take away. So when everybody's trying to climb this uphill battle of fixing a reputation that these things are evil and mean, and I'm putting in work on a weekly basis throughout the year. I've been working with carpet pythons pretty regularly for like 4 or 5 years now. And I was one of those people who thought they were bitey and mean. I was still obsessed with them, but like that's what I thought. When there are people like me, I could think of so many people that are huge proponents for carpet pythons out there. Just listen to Morelia Python Radio, and they'll all, sing their praises. When there are folks out there trying to erase a stigma and portray good things, and then somebody with a massive audience, like millions of people on a daily basis, and the first thing you see on something they put out is a bloody hand in one of these, I don't care what it's about, what the video is going to portray, even if it's completely the opposite. That thumbnail with a bloody hand and a carpet python, you've just undone a crap ton of work. Because millions of people see that and go, carpet pythons, bloody hand, and they make that association. And some people do it for clickbait, and we don't need to get into that. But there are some people out there who have a very large platform, a large audience, and have you said it, that have an audience. And they do some good things, and they mainstream some stuff, and they bring people into this. And I mean, look at how the hobby's grown, right? 50 years ago, we were the weird freaks on the side of the road. Now we are kind of, we're in the front row, sort of. Maybe not A-list, but we're out there, There's celebrities and athletes that keep these animals, so it's becoming mainstream. We're all a community. We all have, a responsibility to one another. We're sort of like a big disjunct family everywhere, right? So if you're going around and, oh my God, look at this, and you've got some really intense music and you're laying on your belly with a cobra and you're slapping, you look like a jackass. And you make all of us look stupid. And there are people who spend decades of their lives going to school and studying and researching and working with these animals and making a living. And you just made us all look like a clown. Anyway, I have feelings. And if you share a different opinion, that's fine. I'm going to move on. But anyway, these things are not what some ponytailed monster portrays them to be. I can't even freaking... It's 9:20 and I'm already pissed. Anyway, you all know who I'm talking about. I don't mean to go on a rant, but I spent the last 6 months trying to change my perception about him and give him the benefit of the doubt and like be positive contributing member of that and look past some of it. When you're a jackass, you're a jackass. That's how it is. Once a knucklehead, always a knucklehead. People need to breathe, slow down, put the camera down. It's not about the views. If any of you guys watch Gary Vaynerchuk's little content, he puts out tons of stuff. He does conferences with YouTubers, and one of the things he tells up and coming YouTubers is don't focus on the numbers, don't focus on the views, the subscribers, just be authentic, be yourself, and that will come. Well, not everyone got that message apparently, and some people are horribly inauthentic. Yeah, that fire came out really quick. Sorry, I've been up early. I didn't have enough time to go to the gym. If I had, I'd probably be a little more toned down, but I'm not apologizing for, my opinion and having a strong opinion and being pretty, convicted of this, like I went back and forth. Let's be real. How many of us started in reptiles because we saw somebody doing something big on YouTube and we just went down the rabbit hole? Yeah, we all started there, right? In some way or another. Anyway. Moving on. I'm not a fan of people who detract from the hard work that others put in to erase stereotypes. So, if you have great experiences with people, but they're, you know, that's your experience. It is what it is. Anyway, I can't wait for this girl to be up to size next year. As I said earlier, this is a citrus tiger het albino. The citrus tiger stuff is something that Eric Burke's been pursuing, and he gave it that name to sort of distinctly separate it from other lines of the tiger stuff. It has some HCQ, which is high contrast Queensland, which is why you get this nice yellow and black look, and that's got a questionable history. You know, so it's supposedly all coastal, but there are doubts here and there. Anyway, it's a beautiful animal, and then obviously this has Darwin in it because the het albino. I got her up to this size pretty quickly, but she is obviously down for the winter with everybody else, and she's doing really well. I'm expecting that in spring when we get her back on food, because of the conditioning, I'll see a lot of efficient digestion and protein absorption. I feel like when their systems shut down and then they come back on, they've had a break, they've gotten empty, and now they're super efficient. So she's actually just been hanging out in the back on the heat the whole time. She probably would take food if I offered it. I don't know. But I do have a specific mate in mind for her. Are there any red calicos in my future? Yeah, if I you know, if I can afford it, I would love to. That's not a cheap animal, unfortunately, and I work in a little warehouse. Efficient digestion. Think of a digestive system of a snake as like a conveyor belt, and then there's like peak points of operation. If you've got something going all the time, it never stops, it never has a chance to rest, right? Like with your computer too, you got to shut it down, or your phone, you got to reboot it every once in a while. Just give it a chance to reset. I think there's a lot of validity in that with a digestive system, and you know, it's pretty well known if you just like are constantly heating and running your animal, you're going to shorten their lifespan. If they're always digesting and they're always just being hot and running, their organs are going to fail. They're going to have a shortened life. And I think giving them a season to not eat and kind of go through a natural famine is beneficial to them, especially with how much we overfeed in this hobby, because we have a freezer full of rats right there. I can chuck everybody food today. No problem. I could do it tomorrow too if I was that insane. That's my point. These things, they're designed for bust and boom, feast and famine. So I think it's good for their lifespan and longevity. Somebody was asking earlier about animals pacing around. I have this one male for that specific citrus tiger animal who is definitely mature, and he's the canary in the coal mine for this room when females are starting to ovulate or put out pheromones, and he's like, the dude is just doing laps around his cage. He's one of the animals I gave bedding to, so there's bedding everywhere. His water never stays clean because he's just constantly like, I smell females, let me out of here. And then when I go check on him, because he's a caramel albino, he's filthy. I mean, he's just got dirt in all of his scales, his pits. He's just a mess. He's a boy playing in the mud. Hi, buddy. What are you doing? Want to come out? So, he's actually relatively clean today. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but he is filthy. There's dirt all over him, in his scales, in his heat pits, everything. He's a dirty boy. So he's mature. His behavior is telling me he's mature. He's sexually reproductive and capable. That doesn't mean he's done growing, but what that tells me is I don't need to try and pump him with any food larger than what he's been eating. And he's been on a fast for a little while too. The nice thing I like to see is I like to see more of a taller side profile than short, stockier, and wide one. If you guys know red-tailed boas, they kind of have a profile like a loaf of bread. It's a little more square, a little more taller than it is wide. I think we need to get back to that with carpet pythons a little bit. They are a muscular snake, but this animal is taller than he is wide. I don't want him to be fat because then he's going to be lazy and not breed. I just want him to be healthy. So there's a lot of dietary things we can think about. You know, if you're going to feed pretty frequently, you can do that if you're using smaller meals, and that's totally fine. If you're gonna do sort of like a random schedule of feeding and you do a big meal every couple weeks, I think that's okay too. As long as you're not doing like massive meals every 5 days, I don't think that's healthy. How did I get on this tangent? How did we get here? Yeah, carpet pythons have an interesting body profile. They're muscular. Even the ones in Australia that you find primarily on the ground, they're still pretty muscular. They do have to climb a lot, ridges, rocks, canyons and things. They've got to be able to grip. I don't know how many photos you see on this Gold Coast snake catcher. Somebody in Australia, and he posted a photo the other day, and there's a carpet python, a coastal up, and somebody's like above their front door, and there's just brick everywhere. And Brandon, she's talking about the snake of hers named Bindi. But nobody's disagreeing. This snake was up in the top and like wedged up between like the ceiling and brick and like tailed down, and this animal is just up there. That's a muscular animal. A fat lazy snake can't do that. So and I'm out of coffee, y'all. Yeah, did anybody have any? All right, we're doing that carpet related stuff because I think I'm gonna try and go to the gym today. Try being the operative word there. Yeah, definitely. A big female. Yeah, the only one who's like big. I'm kind of just leaving her alone. It's breeding season right now, so I'm kind of hands off with my females during the winter to the point where they'll actually like not really like me. I was cleaning a breeder rainbow boa in there yesterday, and she took a crack at me. So they definitely like lose some socialization over the winter, which is all right. I just pick it right back up. But I want these animals to be on a one-track mind. I want the males to be thinking about females, so nobody's getting food. I want the females to just be thinking about what they're doing with the resources they've been stockpiling all year. So as much fun as it is to pull that girl out, I love that snake. That's like, she's my big girl. She's fun. Yeah, most of the females are they're ornery right now. Like they're just kind of grumpy. They don't want to be touched. Anytime I like check on them or if like I'm palpating them, we could do that. Nah, I was gonna say I could show y'all how to palpate, but I don't think that'll come across very well here. Um, yeah, how would I do that? Trying to think of how I could film that. Uh, hmm. We might be able to pull it off because I'm thinking a girl up here would let me do it. And that boy doesn't seem interested in her, so it wouldn't be an issue separating. Here, let me hold that thought. All right, sorry, bud. And y'all are gonna see that I'm in my pajamas still. No shame. All right. So let's see here. You're boiling over with judgment. Good. Judge me. Here, let's take this guy out. Give you a rest. You're not doing anything anyway. Ow! Knew that was gonna happen. No, I haven't gotten any tattoos since I left Santa Barbara. I've been itching for them lately, though, man. That's such an addicting sensation. Okay. Let's see here. Actually, I'm gonna try and... What's a good angle? Because I'm gonna kind of drape her right here. Maybe... Let's do this. Let's do this. Box. Yeah, now you can see my ridiculous setup. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna bring you guys right up here. Move this a little. These lights, by the way, really basic, like a bulb, coil, LED, like nice, white light, like 5000K. $40 on Amazon. Not expensive at all. They're definitely not top shelf. They're not, as nice as LEDs and all that, fanciness, but they get the job done. That's for sure. All right. So, one of the best tricks that will help you with palpating is either using paper towel or putting your hand in a sock. What that'll do is it reduces the friction that the oil on your skin produces in contact with the snake's ventral scales. If you try it without, chances are that friction and that tension will cause them to tense up, and then what they're doing is they're flexing. You don't feel anything in there. I will say that it took me like a year of badgering the hell out of people and practicing to get this right. I can do it really well on a ball python. They're just stockier and it's easier to feel the difference, and they just don't move and they're not as squirrely as carpets are. One of the things you can do is drape them over the tub or a door. Draping them over the door gives that nice vertical. Anyway, I'll stop talking and we'll show this. This girl's thinking I'm like gonna put some in her face. All right. So I have been pairing this girl. This is an Xanthic Coastal. And what you want, some of the objectives for this is you want them moving freely on their own. You don't want to restrain them because that's when they tense up. So what I want her to do is when she's ready, again, forcing it gets them a little stressed and then you don't get the results you want. I would like her to basically just go down in there, right? In her nice little home, and just kind of move towards the back. If she would so kindly as do that. All right, so we'll let her do that. And now what I'm going to do is right around the midline, I'm just going to let her, you want her to crawl on her own. You don't want to force her. And she's kind of being a butthead right now. Let's take the water dish out so she's not grabbing on it. See, this is already the biggest challenge you'll face with carpets is they don't cooperate. All right, honey. All right, so we're gonna do this. And midline is right there. I want my thumb on the dorsal. I'm pushing up into her belly, essentially. I see she's tensing up right now. When they tense up, you're not gonna feel anything. The nice thing about this time of year is she hasn't eaten, so she shouldn't have any poop in her. Because occasionally you'll just feel poop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what I'm feeling is boom, 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 boom. Kind of in like the last third. So she is producing follicles right now. So essentially what I'm doing, because it's really hard to see with my hand in a paper towel, is I'm trying to keep my thumb as my guide on her spine. That way I know I'm straight. And either this finger, any of these ones, pressing up into the paper towel, kind of right in her midline of her belly scales. And as she crawls forward, that finger's essentially running down that section. And if you're pressing hard enough, because you want to give a good press, otherwise you're just not going to feel anything, you're going to feel that kind of just go thump, thump, thump. And what you're feeling is follicles in the tissue sort of popping past the little tension you're creating. It does take practice. Animals that move around a lot are going to be really difficult. Start with ball pythons. If you have adult female ball pythons that you know have bred for you and it's in the right time of year, they're excellent to practice on. So let's see if I can show y'all one more time. This is a very old school trick. A lot of big ball python breeders nowadays that are making good money can afford ultrasounds, and they can time it perfectly and really get, you know, their animals paired at the right time. This is essentially your hands are being the ultrasound. No. You clever girl. All right. So that's the thing. You want them moving forward of their own accord. All right. We're going. No, you need to move. There we go. There's the midline. Boom. Boom. Come on. You got to keep moving. One, two, three, 4, 5. Yeah. So once they stop moving, you're going to feel them tense up and you'll get nothing. But you need them to move forward. So it's worth practicing because it's good to know. You know, if you've got animals that you're pairing and your female is just not showing any interest and you don't know why, you know, that could help you figure out what's going on. Maybe she just isn't ready. You know, your male could be ready to rock and she's just not ready to go yet. So, good tool. Yeah. Here, let me get you out of this ridiculous light. Alright, well, we're officially at, like, way too long. 37 minutes. So, that was palpating. How many carpets do I own? A few. 5. Hold on. Like 30 or something. I don't know. I tend not to count because it fluctuates a lot, especially with baby season. Like if I get 4 or 5 clutches this year, that number will go up to 100. You know, who knows? But yeah, as far as adults go, I think like 10 adults, 10, 15 adults, yeah, getting up there. So, yeah. Paradox carpets in the States, there are a couple. Nick Mutton hatched out a Paradox caramel xanthic jag thing. There's a Paradox albinos. There's like a couple bloodlines that seem to throw those. I think Hesham was working with some. I know the Larks over in Australia have some albinos that throw Paradox. But yeah, I think that's all that I know of anyway. Yeah, they're pretty cool looking. I think the mystery is what they breed as. So, not necessarily desirable, but kind of fun. So, alright guys and gals. I guess I'll leave you with, finally have my Darwins paired. The male shed. He's very shy. The female is also shy. They're both really young, actually. The female is 2.5. The male's 3.5. Come here, bud. So this little dude is a mouser, but was like a late starter, stubborn feeder, and now he's a good, consistent eater, a big boy. Well, big. So I'm hoping he's got the stuff to get the job done this year. But if this pair didn't go this year, I wouldn't be entirely surprised because of how young they are. and because I moved. So we'll see. He is big though. I remember when he was tiny. Teeny tiny guy. The albino's in the back being shy as always. So anyway, I'm going to leave it on that. It's been 40 minutes. Thank everyone for tuning in. I appreciate it. This is the 13th episode we've done of this. I'm still thinking of, other videos to put out throughout the week to keep, helpful content for you guys. If anybody has questions or anything you want to see, I'll see what I can do as far as putting that out there. Message me. I'm pretty easy to chat with. Yeah, find me on Facebook or Instagram. Send me a message. If you guys want videos done on carpets and anything in particular, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to keep trucking. We'll keep doing this. And, yeah, I hope everyone's having a nice winter. Hope everyone's animals are healthy and breeding and doing well. And I wish everyone much success in their endeavors with their animals this year. Until next week, cheers. Thanks for tuning in. Adios.